Anna Wilkinson designs experiments that reflect skills reptiles have to master to survive in the wild.
Tortoises are very visual. And one way we look at their cognition is to look at actually how they can learn to discriminate between different visual stimuli. And the one which is most salient to them is colour. So can they learn to, say, approach a red stimulus over a green stimulus? Well done. We've discovered that they can, and they can do that really fast.
Some of the tortoises have even learned to adapt to technology, figuring out how to use a touchscreen. But if this slow creature and other reptiles are such quick learners, why have scientists misjudged their intelligence?
Generally, when we design experiments, we actually ask animals to conform to our world as humans. It's essential that we understand the ecology in which they would naturally live. So, for example, when we're doing experiments with these guys, we wouldn't lean over them, because of course that might that might simulate, say, predation. And so, of course, if we then do that, they are not going to exhibit the behaviours which they're potentially capable of. The other thing is that if we take a tropical reptile, which is used to moving about in 30 degrees, and test them in a cold room, they won't be able to show us what they can do.
Wilkinson's eureka moment came a decade ago as a PhD student, when she and a professor discovered that turning up the heat could change the behavior of the animals.
It can be a bit hot and sweaty for the humans, but that's what we need to live with.
It was a critical turning point for reptile research, and Moses, who had to learn everything on his own.
With many reptiles, the parents don't stick around after they're born. In fact, they don't stick around after they've laid their eggs. And so they don't get this sort of protected environment that maybe mammals and birds would get. They have to learn everything from scratch. And that's one reason why I think that these guys have really phenomenal cognitive capabilities.
But recognizing animals' intelligence can be even more difficult when they live under the sea or behind glass.
A good friend of mine used to have cichlids, just like these, and he told me that when he would watch horror movies, the cichlids would watch the movie with him. When a scary scene would arise, the fish would actually dart behind their plants and hide. It sounds ridiculous, but these fish are incredibly intelligent.
Inspired by his friend's experience, neuroscientist Trevor Hamilton set up an experiment to test the cichlid's long-term memory.
There's an urban legend that fish have about a 3-second memory span.
He trained them to associate a food reward with a specific visual pattern. Black and white lines moving up or down.
And then waited another 12-day period and tested them on that day.
6 out of 7 cichlids remembered to swim to the correct pattern nearly 2 weeks later.
It is a lot different than 3 seconds.
Fish have been terribly misunderstood by us.
Jonathan Balcombe has spent the last 4 years exploring the latest research into the underwater lives of fish.
They have cognition, they have emotion, they're smart, they're sophisticated, so we really need to have a new view of how we look at fishes. My first recollection of being aware of them as individuals with lives was when I was 8 years old in grade 4. I volunteered to carry the goldfish bowl and it just slipped right out of my hand, smashed on the floor. And then we started searching for this little goldfish, and it was as if he just floated up into the fish heavens. And finally we found him, and the fish was still alive, but in pretty bad shape by then. It was a moment where I realized that I had a deep concern for these animals, and that they, for me at least, they had lives that mattered to them.
In fact, fish can see a lot in their murky underwater world. With their extraordinary visual capabilities, some can even recognize human faces and each other, and some have developed a highly tuned sensitivity to sound.
In one study, koi fish were presented with two genres of music, the blues and classical music. These fishes not only could distinguish between blues and classical music, but they could distinguish between Beethoven and Bach. Most fishes are social. They have preferences, they recognize each other as individuals, and they know who they want to swim with.
The cleaner wrasse may be a small fish in a big ocean, but it's also one of the smartest.
The cleaner wrasse is one of the most sophisticated examples of social intelligence in any animal. This fish makes a living by plucking parasites and algae off the skins of other fishes who we call client fish. The cleaner fishes advertise they're open for business. They swim in a vertical pattern, kind of like a barbershop, little rotating, stripy thing. And from the client's perspective, it's spa treatment time. The clients are usually many, many times bigger than the cleaners, and the cleaners will just bravely swim right into the mouth, and the clients cooperate with them. They never eat the cleaners. You don't want to eat your business partner. It's not good for future business. Cleaner wrasses also go the extra mile sometimes if they want to curry favor with clients to encourage them to come back. They will caress the client with rapid strokes of their pectoral fins. It's like an example of brown-nosing.
But before we deem the cleaner wrasse the most altruistic animal, Balcombe has a warning for potential clients.
It can get a little bit Machiavellian.
It turns out that cleaners are dining out on their clients.
That slimy layer on the outside of a fish is actually highly nutritious and apparently quite palatable to cleaners. And if they get the opportunity, they may bite a piece of that off. This is one of the most devious, cunning fishes in the ocean.
Back on land, another animal is about to be put to the test.
Let's see what she does.
It's time for an afternoon matinee.
These guys are really good at watching movies.
No popcorn, though, just some tasty mealworm snacks. As Peaches, a bearded dragon, demonstrates a fascinating experiment.
And they get to see a movie of another bearded dragon. And what's critical is what is in that movie.
The 11-second movie features another lizard trained to open a gate to get to the mealworms on the other side.
For some of our animals, they get to see a bearded dragon open a gate in a rightward direction. Some of the other animals get to see the bearded dragon open the gate in the opposite direction. And what they then do is they get the opportunity to open that gate. And what's crucial is how do they open it? And what we find is quite remarkable. The bearded dragons that saw the gate open to the left, they also opened it to the left on their first successful trial. The bearded dragons that saw the gate opening to the right also opened the gate to the right. So these guys have actually shown evidence of imitation. And imitation is actually considered the sort of pinnacle of social learning.
But how do the researchers know that the behavior is a sign of intelligence and not just instinct? Tom is part of a control group that watches a movie with a very different ending.
We have a group of animals who get to see the gate open, but a bearded dragon doesn't do it. The gate opens as if by magic. And what we then do is we give those bearded dragons access to that gate and we see what they do. They just failed. They couldn't do it at all. So it tells us that it's actually learning about the behavior of that other bearded dragon that they saw, that is what allows them to access a goal. This is the first ever example of imitation behaviour in reptiles. And so if we can see these behaviours in groups of animals, it really tells us that they have quite sophisticated cognitive abilities.
It's one thing to act clever in a lab. But what about animals we raise for our own consumption? Swine, porkers, squealers. Even the words humans use to describe pigs don't sound too appealing.
They are the most intelligent of the farm animals, and yet they quite often get the roughest ride in the commercial farming world.
Farmer Sarah Buttle raises rare breeds in the English countryside. No industrial-sized pigsties here, just the chance for the pigs to be, well, pigs.
They are herd animals. They love being as part of a gang, and you'll see that when we get onto the maze.
She's built a straw maze on her property to demonstrate research conducted at the nearby University of Bristol.
What Sarah's done here, and really well, is try to recreate our experiment.
So these guys are now 3 months old, and they've been in training in the maze for about a week.
Have you been finding it quite easy to train them?
They learn very fast. It's amazing. They're always enthusiastic about anything to do with food.
Researcher Suzanne Held has advised Sarah to divide the piglets into 2 groups. Group 1 features the more dominant animals, kind of the leaders of the pack.
So I've taken the 3 through who are the more proactive pigs. These are the more passive pigs. So we're going to let these 3 run first. All right, girls, are you ready for this? The first group, we've been putting food at all 5 feeding stations and then letting them come in and work the maze.
Even though they've only been in the maze a few times, they've already figured out the quickest route to all 5 food locations.
They need to remember which one have I been to already and which one haven't I been to. And they're extremely good at these spatial memory tasks.
Good job, little pigs.
Group 2 features the more subordinate piglets, the ones that tend to be the followers.
The second group, the food's only in one place. It's always the same place, so they've learnt to go straight there and not bother with the other feeding stations.
Straight to the bucket. They can learn that in one go.
But the maze test is about to get more complicated.
What we're wanting to do next is see what happens when we put the animals that know where the food is and the animals that don't know where the food is, whether they put them together.
The dominants are pushing their way to the front.
Professor Held wants to see whether the pigs are smart enough to take advantage of each other's knowledge.
Pigs have really intricate social relationships between them. They really monitor each other very carefully, and then they adjust their own behavior accordingly.
The dominant pigs are in for a surprise. The food is in one corner, and only the passive pigs know where to find it.
What can happen is they try and outsmart each other. Look, so the dominants are following them, so they've switched from looking for themselves to following the subordinates and using their knowledge.
But the passive pigs can invent their own strategy, trying to throw the other pigs off the trail.
So the ones that know where the food is may delay going there or may go somewhere else so that they don't get their food taken away. One idea is that that is to do with trying to deceive the dominant pig so you don't lose your foraging advantage.
Is it actually deception? The researchers can't say definitively.
What smart little pigs.
But it's no surprise that George Orwell chose a pig to be in charge in Animal Farm.